after 3 days at the Nationals, I won. And that was a big deal for me at the time, because even though I'd been competing at the Opens and getting a little bit of national attention, winning the Federation Nationals was a big deal from an exposure standpoint.
Mike Iaconelli.
Just sweating it out, but I had a great tournament.
Great fisherman, nice young man, and we got to watch him. He got, look at him, unbelievable. He pulled 3 more large.
You know, it's funny, when I look back at it all these years later, my life really did change at that moment. And, what happened the next few weeks after I won the Classic, that's kind of a blur. But what I do remember is that, the opportunities that popped up and the opportunities that presented themselves, it was unbelievable.
We have a titanic battle going on. Earlier this week, about 45 minutes south in Orlando, Walt Disney World, and check out who's the Grand Marshal of the Share a Dream Come True Parade. That's right, last year's Classic champ, today's contender, Mike Iaconelli, a busy guy since he won the Classic, promoting fishing everywhere. Here, a summit meeting with Goofy right there at Walt Disney World. He's even served as a weatherman on cold pizza.
And, I think, honestly, I would say days after I won the Classic, days after that happened, it sort of snapped me out of my delusion that everything in my life that was bad happened because of fishing. Honestly, I mean, days after that win, I think I realized that the bad things that happened in my life and that were happening weren't because of fishing. They were just happening. It was just life, right? And everybody goes through that. And I think I also, in a couple days, said, Mike, this is your dream. Since you were a kid, this is what you dreamt about. You would be crazy to leave the sport after winning the Classic. And I think at that point, I just made a decision to abandon leaving fishing and say, this is what I'm meant to do. And I really, looking back on that next year, I said yes to everything.
I never thought I'd be doing a fishing highlight on SportsCenter.
Who are more athletic, fishermen or race car drivers? Michael Howley.
It's the fisherman, easily.
If only two-lane football could draw this well.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Super 6.
This is Michael Iaconelli. You need 9.3. Watch the scales. 10 pounds, 14 ounces. Classic champion, Michael Iaconelli.
300 pounds of pressure.
I said yes to every single opportunity that came past me. The timing of it, looking back on it, was unbelievable, because when I won that Classic, ESPN was at the height of their trying to build up the sport, right? ESPN owned B.A.S.S. ESPN had amazing media connections and media outlets and exposure outlets. And when I won, and I think when people saw me, some of them for the first time, there was some renewed interest from places that had never covered fishing. So, when B.A.S.S. and when ESPN started saying, we want you to do this interview. We need you to fly to New York. You need to go to LA. You need to do this magazine photo shoot. You need to go here. I just said yes to everything. I think that it was one of the best things in my career that I ever did. Really taking those opportunities that presented themselves. At that time, I just wanted to run with this opportunity. I knew how important winning the Classic was. I knew that, it doesn't happen to a lot of people, and I just wanted to take advantage of it. I had a really good friend, Pete Glusick, who I fished club fishing with from when I was younger, who was another touring pro from New Jersey. And he became really sort of a mentor for me at that period of my life from a business standpoint. And with the help of Pete, I really was sort of able to map out a game plan to not only help build my brand and my business, but to grow fishing, to try to take fishing to places it's never been. So, with that mindset, with Pete's help, and with ESPN and B.A.S.S. having all these opportunities for me, I just went with it. Give an example. I think that first year from when I won the Classic to the next Classic, so August to August, 2003 to 2004, I think I was home a total of about 2 weeks in 12 months. That's not a joke. I kept my calendar from that year, and when you look at it, it's filled with either tournaments or speaking engagements or appearances or magazines or videos, TV shows. I remember in 2003, 2004, leading into 2005, all these amazing opportunities. GQ magazine, giant piece in GQ, ESPN the magazine, mainstream television shows, the Glenn Beck Show.
Yeah! Mike Iaconelli is not what you'd call a traditional fisherman.
Oh.
He's loud.
Yeah!
He's colorful. Some might even say that he's obnoxious.
Okay!
But it's all part of his plan. Yeah! Mike Iaconelli, or Ike, as his legions of fans like to call him, is hoping that America will finally take notice that the sport of bass fishing has indeed arrived. In fact, the world of pro bass fishing is pinning its future to Iaconelli. Yeah! Hoping that his unique style and high energy might somehow turn bass fishing into the next NASCAR, or, as some are already calling it, BASSCAR. And that's what networks like ESPN are hoping to do, snag viewers.
We're really on the upswing in this sport. So what I think needs to happen is, obviously ESPN, Fox Sport Net, they're doing terrific jobs at figuring out ways to make this more fan-friendly and more media-friendly.
In other words, instead of looking like this on TV...
Oh, dude, pad just moved.
You'd get this.
I'm stoked!
Mike's been attracting a lot of attention to the sport. He's been featured in everything from Sports Illustrated, FHM, and, Playboy. Even a guest spot on Jimmy Kimmel Live.
I know that you are the scourge of the fishing world, true?
Well, for one, GQ magazine rated him the 6th most hated athlete this year. His crime? Disgracing the predominantly southern, rural, Christian sport of angling, which is school speak for fishing, by the way.
All these amazing opportunities that started to come, and the ones that were non-traditional media, they were the ones that started really taking my brand and taking fishing to new people. Dude, it was such an exciting time in the sport, and not just for me, but for the sport. The energy, the feelings, the new people, the new fans that were getting involved. It really felt like we were taking something and really rising it up, right? Skeet Reese, Kevin Van Dam, Ish Monroe, Gerald Swindle, Marty Stone. There were a handful of guys that were all in this wave of media exposure. And it was a fun time. It was a fun time, My fishing was renewed too. When I look back at my 2004 and 2005 career, I was doing good. I was winning tournaments again. I was placing in the top 10. It was a great time. And I look back on those opportunities, And I'm so glad, I'm so thankful I took them.
This year's Classic, it's coming off Jersey style. It's coming off Mike Iaconelli style. I'm going out this year to win again. You want to get Ike with it? I'm going to do it this year.
You know, there's a misconception. You know, the old saying was, when you won the Classic, it was $1 million win. Not upfront money, but over the course of your life. And, you know, now all these years later, when I look back at other Classic champions that didn't take that route, that they didn't grab the exposure wave, they didn't say yes to everything, you know, I don't know if they were $1 million wins. But for me, it was one of the biggest tournaments that I've won in my life, and it still is. And it did change my life. It changed the projection of my life. You know, with all that good stuff that was happening, summer of 2003, all of 2004, into 2005, with all of that good stuff that was happening, the exposure, the success on the tournament trail, new sponsors, more lucrative sponsor deals, right? All that stuff was happening in my life. With all that good stuff, there's always some bad, some negative, right? And, you know, at that point, I think in my life, there were two things happening. The one is I had totally let go to who I was and how I acted and my personality, right? I was not holding back anymore. And I was loud, I was obnoxious, I was passionate, energetic. My highs were highs, my lows were lows. I was dressing the way I wanted to dress. I remember, this is going to sound trivial, but up until 2003 when I won the Classic, you know, you had to have your shirt tucked in. Your tournament jerseys were always provided by the sponsors. They were embroidered patches or logos, right? There was a look to Fisherman. And after I won that Classic, I remember saying, you know, I'm going to dress the way that I normally dress. And I remember in 2004, being the reigning Classic champ, I, for the first time ever, wore a tournament jersey that I created, that I designed. That jersey's sitting right here behind me, but I wore a jersey for the first time that was untucked. It was a jersey that you didn't tuck in. I designed flames on the jersey. I had my own branding on the jersey. You know, I remember sponsors being thrown off by that and taken back. And, you know, like a year later in 2005, I remember going away from embroidered jerseys and trying something called supplemented printing. And it was cool to see the sport changing and to see, you know, things just like being who you are, dressing who you are, really change the attitude. But with all that going on, you know, it was a lot. It was a lot of time and energy. And I think, you know, looking back on it, heading into the Bassmaster Classic of 2005 and 2006, I think I was getting physically and mentally exhausted.
Heard you had a bad day, it ain't going your way, yeah, never give up. Heard my life was a movie, I got people trying to use me, I will never give up. It's not about where you at, it's about where you headed. And all the things they say about you only heard if you let it. I gotta put on for the kids cause they getting the message. I'm on my knees thanking God, look at all of my blessings. Look at little old me doing real big things from a real small town. I'ma make them all proud. And these kids need a leader, I'ma show them all how. Anybody in my way, then we gon' mow them all down. Hey, from the Garden State, I got some deep roots. Fisherman drip and some new boots. I I almost didn't make it, that's the real truth. They call me the general, I got real juice. Pull up in a Bass Cat doing donuts. When I'm at the classic, the people go nuts. Heard you had a bad day, it ain't going your way. Yeah, never give up. Heard my life was a movie. I got people trying to use me. I would never give up.
So I think I need to provide a little context for you here, which is in 2005, 2006, there was a change going on of when Bass decided to hold the Classic. So in 2005, we had a Bassmaster Classic in Pittsburgh that was in August, the time it's always been, in the heat of the summer.
Final day thoughts in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in front of an awesome crowd, a lot of fans, a lot of friends. This never gets old, you know what I mean? I'm in second place. I've won a Classic before, but let me tell you, brother, the motivation's there, and I'm going for the win. Never give up. Woo!
Never give up. That's what Ike says. That's what it is all about. Thousands of fans are turning out to watch the event, the weigh-in. You can find out who the winner is on ESPN at 5:30 this evening. Of course, this is the Super Bowl, the biggie of bass fishing, the Bassmaster Classic, the 35th here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
I wake up every minute with the fever dreams. I push a mind to a limit where it needs to feed. I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hating like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's your loss. See, I got my mind on the facts. I'm a python, grab what I like real fast. Choke until I have everything I attack, everything that I lack, everything that I want, and I see, matter of fact.
Cause I'm my own worst enemy. Only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny.